And I asked the doctor, I said, when I was diagnosed, I said, does this have anything to do with diet? And he said, absolutely not. Don't even think about that. It's not diet. Working with, high carb health, you really need to learn the food combining, when to eat, how much to eat, and all those things. Because if you don't know those crucial things, you're not going to be successful. As far as I feel great for the first time in years. I started working out again. I kind of feel sometimes like, how could I not eat like this before? It's so easy, and it's so much cheaper than the standard American diet. It's so much cheaper than buying all those supplements. So right now, my digestion is really good. It's predictable. No more than 3 times a day. I didn't really realize how good things were going until my wife said to me, she's like, when we go out, you're not looking for a bathroom.
Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today is testimonial time and I'm joined here by Eduardo. Welcome to the channel, mate.
Thanks for having me.
So Eduardo has healed from ulcerative colitis and he's got a really interesting story, and we're really excited to share that with you, how he was able to get healed and symptom-free and medication-free, and all by changing his diet and lifestyle. So let's start off, Eduardo, by you talking us through a little bit about how you got diagnosed and your initial journey, what the doctors told you, etc.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so I first had symptoms in 2010 or 2011, but they were minor. Went to the doctor and she said, maybe it was just an internal hemorrhoid or something like that was causing bleeding. And it went away. It happened both, I think, 2010 and 11 in the summer. But then in 2012, I had a really bad flare up where I just couldn't stop going to the bathroom, like over and over and over again. And I'm a teacher. I was teaching summer school, and I had to just keep running to the bathroom in July of 2012. So I finally went to the doctor. I got referred to a GI and went to the GI, and they did a sigmoidoscope. They went in there and the doctor, put me right away on Lialda and some steroids and, the precautionary antibiotics in case I have, some kind of infection. And that's what happened. And I asked the doctor, I said, when I was diagnosed, I said, does this have anything to do with diet? And he said, absolutely not. Don't even think about that. It's not diet. He specifically said, in my face, like he made eye contact and said, it has nothing to do with diet. So I didn't believe that. So I went looking on the internet and I found a specific carbohydrate diet. So I immediately went into that. I took out all the gluten. I did all the recipes from the book, and I improved a little bit. I improved for about a year. And then I had some stressful events in my life, and I had another flare the following year. But that's basically how it started off for me all those years ago.
All right. So obviously you, from the beginning, were a little bit unsure of, the fact that the diet had nothing to do with it, kind of advice.
Yeah.
And looking at other alternatives for dealing with how to manage your symptoms. Okay, so the first couple of years obviously pretty rough, getting flare-ups and different medications, and
Yeah.
We know stress plays a role. So obviously, yes, if you're close to what we call your threshold for toxicity, then a stressful event can push you over that and cause you to go into a healing crisis. So, or what's more commonly referred to as a flare. So what happened as the years went on then? Because obviously this is only the first couple of years of your journey.
Yeah. So that brings me to 2013. My mom had passed away. Stress from that, I think, brought me into another flare. For like 2 years, I was kind of in and out of the hospital, each time spending about 10 days in the hospital each time. I think it was 3 times I was in the hospital. you know, I kind of had this, this intuitive feeling that the medication wasn't working. They kept putting me on antibiotics, serious doses of Cipro, because I'm allergic to penicillin. So they couldn't give me the usual antibiotics they give you when you're in the hospital. So they had to give me tons of Cipro, and I think that really, really, really messed me up. So I tried specific carbohydrate diet that worked for a little while. Of course it's going to work because I was eating the standard American diet. So going from that to specific carbohydrate diet's a little bit cleaner, so it helps you for a little while, but then you're still eating all that stuff you shouldn't be on that diet. It's tons of meat, the specific carbohydrate diet. So what did I do? I switched to paleo, which is just as much meat. It didn't help me out. There was a point where I was eating nothing 3 times a day, nothing but chicken breast and a puree of either green beans or cauliflower. So that's what I was having for every meal 3 times a day. And it was not working out. And I thought it was working. I actually started working with a functional medicine doctor who's giving me supplements, and he was telling me, basically a chicken and broccoli diet. So that didn't work out. And then in the summer, I think it was 2015, I actually called up Dave Klein from the Healing Crohn's and Colitis book fame. And I spoke to him, and he helped me out a little while, but at that point I wasn't ready. The diet was too extreme for me. And I was on the diet for about, I don't know, a month, and I was having some serious, detoxing. And it was really rough. And I had some family members who were like, "What are you doing? This doesn't seem right. You're not eating enough." So I kind of shied away from Dave Klein. It was a mistake. It was a mistake because he had he definitely had a lot of answers for me. So what I did was switched it to medical medium, shifted over to, I started working with them, and they helped me out because, that brought me to the vegan diet. It did help me out. That does help a lot of people, but for other things, but for IBD, I don't think it's the answer because there's too many supplements, and then they don't address food combining at all. And that, so they tell you, go have a salad. And, if you're in a certain state, you can't go sit and eat a salad full of, chopped up cucumbers and peppers and tomatoes and lettuce. That's just going to kill you. So, I was with that, and it did work because I noticed that bananas were a tremendous help. So I was eating a ton of bananas, and it did help for a while. It healed me like 85%, and I was like that for a couple of years. And I was able to get back to work to kind of get through the day, but I wasn't completely healed. I was still having symptoms. I was really low energy for a while there, and I thought this is just as good as it gets. And then in the fall of 2019, I ended up getting pneumonia somehow. I don't know how, and that sent me into another flare. And I had to go back to a gastroenterologist. I had to go back to the hospital because of pneumonia. They gave me antibiotics because of pneumonia that sent the chain reaction going. But I wasn't happy because I've always had this intuitive feeling that there's something more than medication. There's something more, a way to heal. And I always thought, if I had stuck with Dave Klein, what would have happened? I was even thinking of flying out to Hawaii to stay with him for because I'm a teacher. I was going to stay with him for July and August to see if that was going to help. And maybe even taking a year off from teaching. At the last minute, I chickened out. So I have to admit, I chickened out. It was too intense for me. But that brings me back to 2019, and then 2020, COVID hit, and I'm sitting at home, teaching from home, and I'm thinking I got to do something about this. I'm really, really just tired of dealing with it. So I started have an Instagram, my own Instagram account, but I started an Instagram account just for healing. I said, this is just for healing. I'm only going to follow people who are vegan diets, who have expertise with healing, IBD, Crohn's colitis. And sure enough, you guys come up. And I saw Shamiz, and he was going from, I saw his story, and I saw he was going for a ride, and he was getting ready to start running, he's getting into triathlons and stuff. And that's where I used to be before I had colitis. I used to do marathons. I used to do triathlons. So I had actually, thought that, that was a thing of the past. I'm never going to do triathlons and marathons again. And then I saw your brother getting ready to do all that stuff out in the bike. And I thought, maybe I could do this. Maybe it is possible. So that brings me up to, how I started working with you. I saw you guys that did the consultation. And
talk about the consultation. Talk about what did Sham kind of talk you through in that first consultation?
Okay, so leading up to the consultation, I had kind of, I had experience with Dave Klein's book, so I had kind of started doing it myself. And when I the book, first thing I noticed was he says in the book specifically, you can't do this alone. You have to do it with a practitioner. But I kind of ignored that for about a month and a half. And I was just doing juicing from waking up till 12 and then having some fruit and then having some just steamed celery or whatever, not in an appetizing way. And one of the things that was really encouraging for me when I talked to Shamiz was you guys really use the techniques from Dave Klein, but you're not as strict as the book. So that was a relief, because I was thinking eating steamed carrots just by themselves, and you mashed with a fork, for dinner, and just having straight celery juice and stuff. But no, you guys were like, no, it doesn't have to be that strict. So that was the biggest relief for me. That was like, oh, all right, I can. It doesn't have to be so Spartan. My existence it doesn't have to be so strict. So that was the big thing for me.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because I don't think many people are aware. They think that we just follow the book to the T, which we do, which we don't actually, because there's a lot of science that's come out since David Klein's written that book, and it shows us a lot of different ways of working through building the microbiome, making sure that we can give diversity, showing which foods are inflammatory, which foods are not inflammatory. So we can actually use some of the other foods as well. And I think, especially when you're trying to start, there's no point going from where you are to the healing diet in one day. So, as you know, we have a transition phase, we have a healing phase, and then we have a post-healing phase. So it's a bit more, I guess, relaxed than the way Dave would do it, in that we've taken some of the more recent scientific evidence and applied that to his teachings, which are fantastic. But we can use that science to understand, okay, well, this is what Dave recommended. This is, we know this works, but how can we make it more comfortable for a client, or easier to kind of sustain, or try to find ways to make the diet more palatable, more interesting, because a lot of the times when you're on that really strict diet, it's very easy to kind of lose hope or give up, because it's very restrictive. Let's be honest. There are times where you do need to be restrictive, even on our program, but it's not the entire time. So that's I guess one of the big differences that we've incorporated since we've started working on this and working with a lot of different people. So let's talk about that process for you. So how did you start off on the program, and just discuss some of the education that you were given, because yes, David Klein's got the book, but we go more into depth than just what the book says, and that's the benefit of having the coaching is you can get more into detail, more specific towards your specific needs, and based on the medication. Obviously we're not going to talk about medication or give you medical advice, but you can tell us, what are you taking, and we can work on a dietary pattern that can help you around, when you're coming off your medication, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's talk about that. And you were taking some medication at the time when you started as well, weren't you?
I was back on one of the immunosuppressants for a little
Mm,
while, but I was not, like, I begrudgingly went on it just
mm.
because working, and I didn't want to end up in another flare in the hospital. But I
Mm.
was not happy about it. I'm not.
Just tell everyone which medication you're taking.
Entivyo.
Entivyo. Yeah, that's good.
Entivyo, yeah.
Yeah, because there'll be a lot of people taking that at the moment as well, and maybe they don't want to be on it, and they're not sure whether you can get off it, and their doctor's telling them you'll never get off this medication ever. Obviously, you have. So let's talk about how you went about doing that, and when you started the program. Talk about the education first, and then we'll go into what you did.
Yeah. So since I had kind of kick-started myself the summer of 2020 wanting to clean up, the the transition wasn't so sudden. Um, and I actually, when I started the transition diet, you had kind of backed me off from doing just the juicing in the morning and being so strict, and it was okay for me to have that smoothie first thing in the morning, which was so good because um, I started working with you guys, I think, at the beginning of October, um, and I was able to have that smoothie. It was so energizing. It was good, and if you make a big smoothie, that's going to last you good part of the day, and you'll definitely comfortably be able to reach the 4 o'clock where you can have your cooked meal at the end of the day.
Mm.
Um, so that's what we did. But we in the very beginning it was raw fruit for breakfast, and then I could have something cooked for lunch, and then cooked for dinner, and then after a little while we just raw fruit for breakfast and lunch, and then after 4 was the cook. Worked up to that, and it was an easy transition, um, for me. For me, because at that point, I had been looking to, clean things up, and being on medical medium for a whole bunch of years, was already on the vegan diet versus when I went into the diet with Dave Klein. Yeah, yes, he's much stricter, but I was going from that paleo with eating like 90% of my meat for the day, just like I would be at the store every day just buying chicken breasts and chicken breasts, and then somebody told me to buy lamb because it's the most non industrial meat, and that messed me up because it's so fatty. And that's another thing, you guys told me about this diet, is how crucial it is to be low fat, whole foods, plant-based, low fat. Low fat is really important. I think that's another one of the keys that I really took away working with you, is keep the fat low. A lot of people become vegan, raw vegan, and they just kill it with the avocados. They just buy like 12 avocados, have 3 a day, and then they're wondering why they're having trouble. And I'm guilty of that. I was eating the avocados, and that general public knowledge is everybody thinks that they're so healthy. Avocados, they're a health food, but some of the information you gave me, was it Doug Graham? It was one of the books I read. The 80-10-10 diet, where we should only have 10% of our calories from fat. So really, that equals, what is it, half an avocado per week?
Well, about one. Yeah, but no,
One?
we recommend about one avocado a week, but there's fat in
Yeah.
all the plant foods. So
Yeah.
plant foods have fat, protein, and carbohydrates. They're all combined in there in different varying amounts. So uh, if you're, it's you don't have to be like really, really strict every single day to be less than 10%, but as an average,
Yeah.
if you're less than
Yeah.
10% fat, that's what you're looking for. And so yeah,
Yeah.
generally it's quite easy because even a banana and a mango and all that has fat in it. So it's not that hard if you're going to eat some more overt fats to go over that 10% very quickly. So that's why we try and limit the overt fats in diet, and especially when someone's healing from IBD. The more fat you eat, the more your gallbladder has to put bile into your digestive system, and you got to work harder to digest that food. You've got specific bacteria that eat bile in your colon, which actually release hydrogen sulfide. So that's the stuff that causes a lot of damage in your bowel. So having a lot of bile production in your gut is actually pretty detrimental, and has a big role to play in the not only the I guess beginning of symptoms, but also the exacerbation of them.
Yeah, and when I started working with you guys, you gave me a whole bunch of literature, scientific literature, studies, to really back up why the diet, the lifestyle. I shouldn't even say lifestyle. A diet, it's a lifestyle. That it really works, and I see it all the time. That the vegan diet is good for this. I think Dr. Greger was saying about how this is the best diet for ulcerative colitis, for IBD. So it's good. It's really good to see that science does back up the diet, because I saw a meme on Instagram that said behind every vegan is an upset grandma, and that really, because my grandma, she loves to cook up fried food and stuff for me, and she was upset, that I wasn't eating, and I did have scientific studies to be like, hey, grandma, it's okay. Dr. Greger, says this and these other things. Not like I'm just coming to her house and just sitting there and eating potatoes, and she's like, why are you eating potatoes? Well, because I feel like it. You have the science, and you have family members see the science. It's a lot easier.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it makes a difference when you can show, okay, that here's what we suggest, here's the theory, and here's how it works in practice, and you've experienced all of that. So let's talk about your healing journey. So what were some of the experiences you had as you went through coming off your medication, and also, what kind of detoxification symptoms did you experience?
So for me, I did most of my healing on the transition diet. So by the time I weaned myself, well, we don't really wean, but by the time I stopped taking the medication, I was doing pretty well. And the only thing that I was having when I came off the meds was I had got acne on my back. And I was a little bit, my skin was itchy, but I feel like that was just, my body processing all those toxins leaving. It wasn't too bad. I was lightheaded a couple times, but that could have not been from the from the detoxing from the meds. So yeah, it wasn't too bad.
You didn't really have a very serious detoxification. I think you'd been through most of it before you started on the program. But if I look through my notes here, at the beginning, you were having a fair bit of bowel motions, 5, 6 a day. There was bleeding, and you were very fatigued.
Yes.
So again, I think the maximum you had was about 6 times a day with blood and lots of tiredness. That was actually while you were still on the medication, and then when you came off the medication, I don't think it really increased that much, to be honest. Because we took our time and we didn't rush it. It's a lot of the times where people have really bad withdrawals is when they rush off their medication, and they stop their medication too quickly, and they don't give their body time to adjust to the diet and get their microbiome changing, get their bowel, get that whole kind of situation where you've got that leaky gut, or the permeability. It's called gut permeability, but more colloquially called leaky gut. That doesn't get enough time to heal. We're not feeding the short chain fatty acids to the cells of our colon to allow them to get better and heal and repair. So if you stop too quickly, that's where I find through experience that a lot of people have big withdrawals from the medication. Their gut lining hasn't had a chance to heal a lot, and so they can have quite strong detoxification symptoms and healing
Yeah,
symptoms. But
so talking about that, that is one of the important points, is that we took things slowly, because my and this is with other things, my thing is to rush through it, to get it done. And taking it slow is so important, and I think that's why I was so successful in the program, because I listened. I took it slowly. You encouraged me to take it slowly, because I would have just been like, all right, I feel good, let's just we're good here. But that's, like you said, that's probably one of the worst things you could do.
Yeah. And sometimes people find that boring, because you're kind of not making a lot of changes too often, but the body loves consistency. And people can find that, I guess, like they want to see progress faster sometimes. But you were dealing with really serious, severe conditions here, IBD, ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease. It's not like a walk in the park. It's a very serious condition. And if we try to rush things, or we try and do things before we believe the body's ready for it, then makes it much harder for our clients, and the process can be much more uncomfortable. Obviously, it doesn't happen like that for everyone, but I think what benefited you was, one, that you were already on a plant-based diet for a while, and you'd already done a lot of detox when you did Dr. Klein's, I guess, work with him as well. So you kind of did a lot of healing leading up to our program, and then you were able to obviously get off the medications and finish the healing process while working with us. So, that's
like I said, 85% healed, and for a few years, and I just couldn't get over there and get to the place where I wanted to be. And that's what
and we get contacted by a lot of people saying, oh, I'm already on a plant-based diet, how can your program help me? Maybe you can talk about that a little bit, because our program is not just about diet, is it? Talk about some of the other things we discussed with you, because diet plays a role in healing. Obviously, it's very important, and if you don't get that right, it's going to be very difficult to heal. But diet, and a vegan diet's not necessarily what we do. We have a whole different approach to how the body heals. So maybe just talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So, well, first thing, it's that the diet doesn't heal you, right? It's that you're removing the things that are impeding the body from healing itself, because the body is a self-healing organism. So once you understand that, and you realize that the foods you're putting in your body are the ones that allow the body to heal without being interfered with, that's really crucial to understand. And then after that, the food combining is so important. So important, because I was on a plant-based diet before, and I used to get heartburn all the time, and that's because I used to, on the medical medium, not to bash them, that's helped a lot of people. But if you have IBD, you can't eat a sweet potato first thing in the morning, then wait an hour and then go have a smoothie, because that's just gonna, the cooked food takes much longer to digest than the fruit and the smoothie you just had, and that's gonna cause things like heartburn and poor digestion. So working with high carb health, you really need to learn the food combining, when to eat, how much to eat, and all those things, because if you don't know those crucial things, you're not going to be successful, no matter how clean your diet is. That food timing, the nutrient timing, all that stuff is very important.
Yeah, and then what are the other things apart from just food? Because we talked about what we call the 5 pillars of health. So obviously diet plays a big role, but when you work with us, we're coaching you on more than just that, aren't we?
Yeah, one of the things I read, I think it was Dr. Greger, is spirituality. Whatever your spiritual path is also important. You got to get that, and you spoke to me about that. How am I doing with that? And when I started working with you in October, our life was crazy. And I was really uptight, and you did comment about that when I started working with you. You're really all over the place, uptight about this, worried about this, worried about that, and I didn't really see that myself. I needed to work with someone else, talk to somebody else, and be like, "Hey, man, you gotta you gotta relax. It's gonna kill you." And you did. A couple sessions, you were like, "It's gonna be all right. Don't worry about it." And we weren't even talking about diet or colitis. It was just other stuff
Mm.
going on in my, in the sessions. That's what you talk about. Not only diet, but you're also talking about, hey, what else is going on, or what's stressing you out, because stress plays an enormous role in IBD. So, and it's good when you working with you do um, you do highlight. You did highlight where I was going a little crazy, and you gave me some good tools to deal with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So, um, yeah, I think it's really important that to understand that, it's not just about changing your diet. Obviously, there's whole other factors to play as well. And we didn't touch on, the sleep aspect, the hydration aspect, and all that plays a big role as well. And yeah, that's something that we're really keen to, I guess, tap into, is make sure that you're looking after all these 5 things that we feel are really important to not only allowing your body to heal, but maintaining that health in the long term. Because now, I think it's been a few months now since you've had any symptoms and had medication, so it's been quite a
Yeah.
long time since you've
Mhm.
had that. It's all about trying to maintain that, not allow that to come back. Obviously, sometimes it can, if you have certain circumstances, but if you do these 5 things really well, you're going to be in a really good place. So let's talk a little bit about, how you feel now that you've gone through that healing effort, and you've come out the other side, and how does the body feel, and how's your outlook on life kind of taken a different turn as well?
So, as far as I feel great for the first time in years. I started working out again.
Hmm.
Um, for the first time in a long time. Working out triathlons was, like my passion. To lose that for colitis was devastating. So now I've actually gone on some bike rides. I discovered this bike trail by my house. It's so nice. I went out the other day for an hour bike ride, which is, for me, compared to what I was able to do physically, 2 or 3 years ago. It's like, it's amazing. It's amazing to be able to go out, and um, I didn't have any problems with that. So I'm doing well now, and for the future, I'm very hopeful. I have the lifestyle locked in. Um, you know, I kind of feel sometimes like, how could I not eat like this before? It's so easy. It's so easy once you get locked in. You get your routine going. You get up in the morning. I make a green juice, apple, celery, lettuce, or whatever. Make my smoothie, and then a really big smoothie. I put in my mason jars and just sip it throughout the day. Head to the beach because it's the summer. I'm on summer vacation, and this is the way things are going now. Once I go back to teaching, it's going to be simple. Just gotta bring my smoothies with me to work at lunchtime, and then after 4 o'clock, I have my big meal. I got my potatoes, my greens, um, once in a while avocado, half an avocado. So it's easy once you set this up, and it's so much cheaper than the standard American diet. It's so much cheaper than buying all those supplements. Uh, when I think a couple times when I first started working with you, I said there's more money in my bank account because I wasn't spending enormous amounts of money, like $150 a month on tons of supplements. Zinc, magnesium, vitamin C, all these things, and yeah, and I remember in the beginning you telling me, yeah, you don't need that stuff if you're eating the right way. Well, once you're healed, you're getting plenty of that in the diet. So yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about how much you absorb. It's not what you take in, it's how much the
yeah,
body absorbs. And, you know, at the end of the day, supplements, most of the supplements, especially if you're not deficient or your diet's good, you know, all you're doing is creating really expensive urine. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Let's talk about your situation from a symptoms perspective right now. You know, like, how's that working? How, you know, bowel motions wise, you know, how does your bowel feel? Um, yeah, what does it feel like to have really good digestion?
So right now, my digestion is really good. It's predictable. No more than 3 times a day. Going to the bathroom. Um, no symptoms. Um, I didn't really realize how good things were going until my wife said to me, she's like, when we go out, you're not looking for a bathroom, because before, you always have to have a bathroom in sight, prepared, ready to go to in case you have to go. And um, wherever we went, I would always know where the bathroom was. And I was so worried about the bathroom situation that I would only go to places if I knew that they had a bathroom for me to go. I wouldn't go to new places because I didn't know if they had a bathroom. So my wife said to me, she's like, you don't have to go to the bathroom anymore. You're not like obsessed with it. And I said, yeah, that's true. I mean, well, I do have to say, when you're super hydrated, you do have to go to the bathroom. Not because of the colitis, but because you have so much fluid. But that's a wonderful trade-off I'd make at any time. And
You
no,
feel
so I'm
better
feel
because you're hydrated too, you know? You
yeah.
don't feel dehydrated and tired, and yeah, you need to go number one a bit more, but that's part and parcel of being well hydrated.
Yeah, it definitely lets you know that you're drinking enough water.
Yeah, excellent. All right. What is your life like now? Like, what? Obviously, we've talked about a lot of things, like you can start exercising again, your symptoms are a lot better, but just in general, you know, even just normal everyday functionality, what is it like to be colitis free?
I don't think about colitis. It's still in my mind, and I'm always going to think about it every day. But it's not in the front of my mind, something I have to hold in front of my mind to always think about it, because I'm going to have to deal with it all the time. I forget about it. Um, Before, I would have to budget my energy, because you have colitis, you have low energy. So I would in the beginning of the day, I would look at what I have to do for the day and pick the most important thing and say, that's what I'm doing. And then the rest of the time I have to sit on the couch because I'm going to be worn out from doing that one thing. Now, I mean, the other day I went for a bike ride, and then I was able to mow my lawn. I had some branches I wanted to chop down. I did that. I took my dogs for a walk. And before, that was just, I couldn't even fathom doing something as much of that in one day. That was like a month's worth for me.
Mm,
And my appreciate it, because we're walking every day, at least 3 or 4 miles. So yeah.
that's excellent, man. Yeah, it's just an awesome thing, you know, when we see someone get through the difficulties of overcoming the disease in the body and come to the other side. It's a real revelation. Has it changed your outlook on life in any way, like the whole experience?
Yeah, um it has me thinking of possibilities. I always used to go on YouTube and look at those guys who build cabins in the woods, just as something cool that they do. And then I'm thinking, maybe if I came into some money, I got a rich uncle, I could buy a piece of land and I could build my own cabin in the woods. um so so, those things become a possibility. You think of that, you can actually do that. When you have colitis, you just give up on a lot of things in your life. And, now that I'm feeling better, these things are coming. I can do that now. That's not something for that guy. That's something I can do. So, and that is a relief. It really is a relief. And I mean, even at work, um, it was, I would be really nervous budgeting my my energy. I'm a special education teacher, so I deal with some rough kids, and I teach two different grades, and I don't have a classroom. I go into classrooms. So having colitis and doing that job was really rough.
Mhm.
Now I have been spending time. I have all these ideas of these things I can do with the kids that I never thought I could do before. I want to implement this thing with this group of kids. I want to do this thing with this other group of kids. And before, I was just trying to get through the day. So I'm really excited. I'm really excited to get back to work and really work with the kids.
Oh, that's amazing, man. Yeah, that's just so good that you can. Yeah, I mean, you've got a future. You can actually think about what could be in store for you in the future, rather than how am I going to get through this next week, or this next day even. When you're a colitis, that's definitely something I've heard very commonly with a lot of people that have it is, I just don't have a life anymore. It's taken away everything, all the things that I really enjoyed doing. I can't do it, and it's destroying my kind of existence on this planet. So yeah, I mean, one of the main reasons we do this is because we've experienced that, with Shamiz, and we don't want people to suffer, and so we can guide our clients to get to where you are. That's the goal, that's the goal. All right, let's talk about advice, because there'll be a lot of people watching this that may be thinking, oh, well, Eduardo's done it, but I don't know if I can, or I don't know if this is the right thing for me, or I don't know if I can go on a plant-based diet. So what kind of advice would you give someone watching this, or maybe even yourself if you were sitting there watching this, 10 years ago?
If first of all, I'd like to say to people, if I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Because I'm nothing special. You think people who are successful in these types of things, they're these type A personalities who've got everything together, organized in their life, and they get the bad deal, they get the diagnosis of colitis, and then they're like, just I can, they're able to pull themselves together. I am so not a type A personality person. So it, anybody can do it. You just have to get into the routine. And I think the hesitancy to get into the routine, the reason people don't do it is because of fear. And looking back on it myself, working with Dave Klein, I didn't do it because of fear. I was afraid, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that? And working with high carb health, like David Klein's book says, you really do need to have a counselor, somebody to help you out, because they will address the fear. I'm worried about this, and 99.9 times out of 100, you guys have the answer for it. You've seen it, and you can just say, no, it's like this. Don't be so worried about it. And looking back on it was fear. And one of the things that's crazy is that Shamiz had his flare where he ended up in the hospital about the exact same time I did. And he started working with Dave Klein about the same time I did. And I look back and see, he stuck to it. He was consistent. I didn't. And he's how many years? How many years healed?
9 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and that's the other thing, be consistent. Just keep going with it. Keep going with it.
Yeah. Well, Sham always says, being persistent will get you there, and being consistent will keep you there. That's what he always says. You have to, it's not hard. I mean, it's not easy to get to where you got to. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of commitment, discipline, and hard work, because, there are times where you got to guts it through some pretty rough experiences. But as you've already experienced, when you get to the other side,
And I think a lot of people who were on this journey, they have this kind of gut intuitive feeling that, the meds and everything that conventional medicine tell you, like I feel like I've had it the whole time. There's more than that. There's more answers than what they're telling you. Take the pills, take the shot, and you'll be able to manage it. That doesn't seem like a way to live. There is definitely other answers besides that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, Eduardo, mate, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a really really fascinating conversation. I think a lot of people will take a lot out of it, and learn a lot about what your experience was, because it's such a common experience that people have. Some of the things you talked about, it's something that I hear over and over and over again. So I appreciate you being so open and honest with us, and really kind of sharing your story, because it's a personal thing, and to come online and share that to help other people is I find is really commendable. But my favorite part of the show, Eduardo, you now have a life after colitis. Congratulations, man.
I remember watching all the videos, and I never thought I would be able to. Never thought I'd be able to hear that from you, and now I do hear from you. Wow, that's a good feeling.
Yeah, man. Congratulations, dude. It's just as exciting for us, because this is why we do it, to get to the other side. It's like completing the circle. Now you shared your story, you paid it forward, and someone else will really benefit from it, I'm sure. All right, for everyone who's been able to watch and listen and got to this point in this video, thank you so much for staying with us the whole way. I'm sure you've really enjoyed listening to what Eduardo shared with us. And if you've got any questions, there's a comment section down there below. Please ask away, and I'll try and answer as many of them as I can. If you are not subscribed to our channel, please hit that subscribe button and also that little bell notification, which will give you updates on all of our recent uploads. And also, if you haven't given this video a like, smash that like button, because it helps us reach more people. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Eduardo, for sharing your story. We really appreciate it. Remember, everyone, make sure you eat plants, and lots of them. Take care. Thanks, Eduardo. Give this video a thumbs up if you know what it's like to live with IBD, and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. This channel is designed to help people recover from colitis, Crohn's, and any other form of IBD. You can always head to our website, highcarbhealth.com, for a free 30-minute consultation from anywhere in the world. And remember, there is a life after colitis.